There is a restlessness that modern life never seems to satisfy. We spend our days answering calls, managing schedules, and carrying the weight of 1,000 small worries: the health of our families, the state of the world, the quiet regrets of the past. By the time we find a moment of silence, our minds are usually still racing, turning over the same problems, unable to find the off switch. But what if I told you that there is a place where you can set that burden down? Not just for a moment, but in the presence of the one who already knows the weight of your heart. For many Catholics, especially as we move into the second half of our lives, there is a deep, often unspoken longing to move beyond simply saying prayers and toward truly being with God. We hear about the Holy Hour, that invitation to spend 60 minutes before the Blessed Sacrament, but it can feel intimidating. We wonder, what am I supposed to do for an hour? What if I just sit there and think about my grocery list? What if I feel nothing at all? We treat prayer like it's a performance we have to get right, rather than an appointment we are invited to keep. But the silence of the chapel is not empty. It is filled. It is the place where your soul finally stops searching because it has arrived at its home. If you have ever felt that your prayer life has become a routine, if you have ever sat before the Eucharist and wondered if you were doing it wrong, or if you have simply been looking for a way to find true, abiding peace in an overwhelming world, this guide is for you. Today, we are going to walk through how to spend a holy hour, not as a task to be checked off, but as the most important appointment of your life. The first thing to understand is that a holy hour is not a devotion. It is not a technique, and it is not a test. It is a meeting with a person. When you walk into that chapel, you are not walking into an empty room. You are walking into the presence of the living God. St. John Vianney, the great curé of Ars, used to watch an old farmer who would sit in the back of the church every day for hours, not saying a word, just gazing at the tabernacle. When the saint finally asked him what he said to God during all those long hours, the man simply replied, "I look at him, and he looks at me." That is the entire architecture of a holy hour. It is not about how many prayers you can recite, or how clever your thoughts are. It is about the silent gaze. The saints understood that the soul is like a mirror. If you turn it toward the sun, it will eventually begin to reflect the light, whether you feel it or not. But because we live in a world that demands productivity, we often feel like we are failing if we aren't constantly saying words. We think the hour was a waste if our minds wandered to our bills or our health or our family. I want to tell you right now, those distractions are just the noise of the world trying to follow you into the silence. You don't have to fight them with anger. You just have to gently bring your heart back, over and over, like a child returning to their father's side. Before we go deeper into the practical steps, I want to know who is here with me. If you feel comfortable, write your age, where you are watching from, and one word, just one word, that describes what you hope to find in your prayer life. You can write something like, Mary, 68, Ohio, peace, or John, 74, Texas, clarity. I read these comments, and I remember many of you in prayer. It reminds me that Catholics all over the world are carrying the same quiet, holy desires. Now stay with me, because the hardest part of the holy hour is not the hour itself, it is the moment you first sit down. I remember a woman named Martha who was in her early 60s. She had been a lifelong Catholic, faithful to Sunday Mass, but her prayer life had always felt like a dry, dusty road. When she started committing to a weekly holy hour, she was almost instantly disappointed. She told me, "I go into the chapel, I kneel down, and all I feel is the hardness of the pew and the weight of my own fatigue. I don't feel God. I don't hear a voice. I don't feel comforted. I just feel like I'm sitting in a quiet room, waiting for an hour to pass." For months, Martha almost gave up. She felt that because she wasn't having these profound, mystical experiences she read about in books, she must be doing it wrong. She assumed that if God were truly there, he would make his presence felt in a way that left no room for doubt. But she didn't quit. She kept going, not because she felt holy, but because she had made a promise to the Lord. And then, one Tuesday afternoon, something shifted. It wasn't a bolt of lightning. It was the simple, quiet realization that her presence, even in her dryness, was an act of love. She realized that by sitting there, in the silence, she was telling God, "I don't have to feel anything to know you are here. I am here for you, even when I am tired, even when I am distracted, even when I am empty. That was the breakthrough. She stopped trying to feel God and started simply being with him. Martha's story is a mirror for so many of us. We are so used to a world that gives us instant feedback that we expect God to work on the same timeline. But the holy hour is not about what you get out of it. It is about the fact that you are willing to offer your time, your most precious, non-renewable resource, to the one who gave everything for you. When you feel dry, when you feel distracted, when you feel nothing, that is not a sign of failure. That is a sign of sacrifice. But if you're wondering how to actually fill that hour, we need a map. We need a way to walk through those 60 minutes so they don't become an hour of staring at the wall. To make a holy hour fruitful, you don't need a complex manual. You need a simple rhythm. Think of it like a conversation with a dear friend. There are times for speaking, times for listening, and times for just sitting in the comfort of their company. In the first 15 minutes, invite the Lord in. Begin by making the sign of the cross slowly, deliberately. Acknowledge where you are. You can use a simple act of adoration like, "My Lord and my God, I believe that you are here, truly present, body, blood, soul, and divinity." Then, unload. Give him the mess of your day. Don't try to be formal. If you are worried about a family member, tell him. If you are tired from work, admit it. This is your clearing the deck time. In the middle 30 minutes, move from speaking to listening. This is the hardest part for us, because we are so addicted to noise. Take a small passage of scripture, perhaps a gospel reading from the day, and read it slowly. Not to study it, but to let the words sink into your heart. If a phrase catches your attention, stop there. Rest in it. If your mind wanders, and it will, don't get frustrated. Just bring it back to that one phrase. This is the time to let the silence do the work. Remember, God speaks in the still, small voice, and he needs you to be quiet enough to hear it. In the final 15 minutes, move toward surrender. This is the time to pray for the world, for your parish, for your family, and for the grace to carry the peace of this hour back into your daily life. Offer up your weakness. Ask him to help you become the person he created you to be. And then, before you leave, just sit. Don't rush to the door. Just be with him for those last few moments. It sounds simple, and it is, but the simplicity is exactly what makes it so transformative. Because it isn't about the method, it's about the meeting. Now, I want to be very direct with you, because this is where many of us lose the battle before we even start. There is a subtle, dangerous thought that sneaks into our minds. I am too busy for an hour. I have too much to do, too many people depending on me, too many problems that need my attention. We view an hour in the chapel as an hour lost, as time taken away from the real work of our lives. But that is exactly backward. The holy hour is not time taken away from your life. It is the time you invest to ensure your life has a soul. If you do not find the time to be silent, the world will fill your silence with its own noise. It will fill it with anxiety, with urgency, and with the illusion that everything depends on your effort. But when you spend that hour before the Lord, you are reminded of a fundamental truth. The world does not turn because of your stress. It turns because of his providence. You might say, "But I don't feel like I'm doing anything when I'm there." You are not there to do. You are there to be. Think of it this way. What if the Lord looked at you in the chapel, just as he looked at the disciples in the Garden of Gethsemane, and asked, "Could you not watch 1 hour with me?" That is not a request for a job performance. It is a request for your company. He does not need your accomplishments. He does not need your management of the world's problems. He needs you. He wants your presence. If you find yourself making excuses about why you can't carve out that time, I want you to ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? Is it the silence? Is it the fear that if I stop for an hour, the world I've built will fall apart? If that world is so fragile that it falls apart because you spent 60 minutes with your Creator, then you have more to worry about than your schedule. This is the pattern interrupt we all need. We are not the masters of our time. We are the stewards of it. And there is no better investment than the one that prepares your soul for eternity. The saints didn't treat the holy hour as a luxury for the spiritually perfect. They treated it as the oxygen for the soul. They understood that the silence of the chapel does something that the noise of the world simply cannot do. It prunes the heart. Saint Alphonsus Liguori, a doctor of the Church, once said, "Of all devotions, that of adoring Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament is the greatest after the sacraments, the one dearest to God, and the one most helpful to us." He knew that we are not just creatures of the intellect, we are creatures of the heart, and our hearts are easily cluttered. We carry memories of past hurts that have never been healed. We carry anxieties about the future that have never been surrendered, and we carry 1,000 small daily distractions that keep us from seeing reality clearly. When you sit in silence before the Eucharist, you are allowing the light of God to shine into the hidden corners of your life. It can be uncomfortable at first. You might notice things you've been running from. You might feel the sting of a pride you didn't know you had, or the coldness of a grudge you've been nursing. But this is not a punishment. This is the pruning. Saint Faustina Kowalska, in her diary, often wrote about the profound interior peace she found in the presence of the Blessed Sacrament. She described it not as an escape from the world, but as an immersion in the source of all grace. She understood that if she was to be a channel of God's mercy to others, she first had to be filled by Him. What this means for your life today, especially as you navigate the complexities of your 50s, 60s, and beyond, is that the holy hour is where you are prepared for your legacy. The things you are most worried about, the people you are most concerned for, the regrets that wake you up at night, all of these find their proper place at the foot of the tabernacle. When you give God your hour, He gives you His perspective, and His perspective changes everything. You aren't just wasting time, you are learning the language of heaven. If you are feeling a nudge to reclaim this time, do not overcomplicate it. The best way to start a holy hour is simply to start. First, make a commitment that is sustainable. If you haven't been to adoration in years, do not commit to an hour every single day. Start with 1 hour once a week. Put it in your calendar. Treat it like a doctor's appointment or a commitment to a loved one, because that is exactly what it is. Second, bring something simple to focus your heart. If you are prone to distraction, bring a journal. Write down the things you are worried about. Then write, "I am giving this to you, Lord," beside them. Physically writing it down helps offload the mental noise so you can be present. Or, bring a book of the Psalms. The Psalms are the prayer book of the Church. They contain every human emotion, joy, anger, fear, confusion, and they provide a bridge to God that bypasses our own inability to find the right words. Third, practice the examen. Before you leave the chapel, take 5 minutes to look back at the hour you just spent. Don't look for how good you were. Look for where you felt a sense of calm, where you felt a tug of conviction, or where you felt the Lord's presence. This helps you recognize that the prayer did not stop when you walked out the door. It is something you carry with you. Fourth, do not be afraid to just sit there in silence if that is all you can manage. You don't need to read. You don't need to talk. You can simply look at the tabernacle and know that He is looking back at you with a love that is deeper than you can imagine. This is the work. It is the work of returning to the source. It is the work of letting yourself be loved. And if you do this, if you truly make this space in your life, you will find that the peace you have been searching for in the noise of the world was waiting for you in the silence of the chapel all along. But what happens when you finally reach that place of peace? What happens when the silence starts to change you? There is a moment that happens to every soul that perseveres in this silence. It is not a dramatic vision, and it is not a thunderous voice from the heavens. It is something much more quiet and much more profound. It is the realization that you are not alone in your own life. In the bustle of your daily responsibilities, you have likely become accustomed to carrying things by yourself. You manage the crises, you handle the logistics, you hold the family together, you process the grief, all while keeping a calm face for the world. You have learned to be strong, but in the presence of the Blessed Sacrament, you are allowed to be small. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to be uncertain. This is the emotional payoff of the holy hour. You finally stop performing your life and start living it in union with Christ. You realize that the chapel is the one place on earth where you are not judged for your weaknesses, but welcomed for them. The weight that you have been carrying for years, the fear of the future, the sorrow over what has been lost, the anxiety about whether you have lived well enough, it all begins to lose its grip when you realize it is in the hands of the one who holds the stars. You start to understand that your life, with all its messiness and all its beauty, is a story that he is writing. When you sit in his presence, you are essentially reading the book alongside the author. You aren't just reacting to life anymore. You are resting in the heart of it. That peace you find there, it doesn't disappear when you walk out into the parking lot. It becomes a part of you. You become a person who carries a different kind of quiet. And that, more than anything else, is what the world needs right now. It needs Catholics who know how to be still. It needs Catholics who have seen the face of the Lord in the silence, and who walk back into the noise with a heart that is anchored in something much deeper than the temporary troubles of this life. Lord Jesus, you are here. You are truly here. I come before you tonight, not because I am perfect, and not because I have all the answers. I come before you simply because I am yours. You know the noise that has followed me into this chapel. You know the worries I still carry, the people I am holding in my heart, and the regrets that I have tried to hide even from myself. Lord, I surrender them to you. Take the anxiety that keeps me awake. Take the fear that keeps me from trusting your will. Take the pride that makes me think everything depends on my own strength. In this silence, I am finally small enough for you to hold. Fill me with your peace, not the peace of the world which comes and goes, but your peace which remains. Make my heart a tabernacle for your grace, so that when I leave this place, I do not leave you behind. Stay with me, Lord, always. Amen. Remember this. God does not call you to the holy hour to judge how well you pray. He calls you there simply because he loves you, and he wants you to be with him. You do not have to be good enough to deserve an hour with the Lord. You only have to be willing to show up. It is not too late to return to this silence. It is not too late to make this your new anchor. If this message helped you examine your soul, please subscribe. This channel is here to help Catholics prepare for eternity with truth, mercy, and courage. Send this to one Catholic you know who may be carrying a quiet, heavy burden of the past, or who needs to be reminded of the hope we have in the mercy of God. And if you have ever wondered whether your last confession was truly valid, if you are still stuck in the cycle of doubt, watch the next video, because that question keeps more Catholics away from peace than almost anything else. May God bless you, keep you close to his mercy, and give you the deep, abiding peace of Christ.